Welcome back, City Builders. Kodiak the Kodiak here. In the first weekly recap of the new year, we'll go over all the new mods that have been uploaded since the last weekly recap we did on December 27th. On top of that, we'll also go over the massive Anarchy mod update that happened over the break as well. This update is a serious game changer, so make sure you're tuned in for that one. Lastly, we'll go over my custom radio mod that is coming to Thunderstore. Now, before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you can keep up to date with all the City Skylines 2 news, tips, and tricks. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so before we get started, I'm not actually sure if this will be up by the time I upload this video. Hopefully it will be because I'm going to be working with CityRat, who uploads a ton of really awesome radio mods, if that's something that you're interested in, to actually get it packaged and uploaded to Thunderstore. But I'm going to be uploading my own custom radio mod to Thunderstore. This was a birthday gift for a musician friend of mine named Ned Dirt, who you can find on Spotify. I'll leave a link to his Spotify down below, as well as his Twitch stream, because he does one-night songwrites over on Twitch, which are really fun, and you should come hang out in them. That being said, I packaged a radio together for a birthday gift for him that I'll be uploading to Thunderstore so you guys can enjoy his music in-game with some of the background ads that exist in the vanilla game. So if that's up by the time I upload this video, I will put a link to it down in the description. Otherwise, I will have it as a pinned comment later at some point, or we'll include it in the next few videos. On top of that, for the new year, I do have a resolution for myself to upload 2 videos a week, and we've already have one uploaded. I work together with Cities by Diana, Slay3K, Canadian Moose Plays, and Teddy Radco to bring together a wish list for 2024 of what we want to see for City Skylines 2 in the new year. I'll put that up in the annotation, but we each give our own top 5 list of things that we're interested in. These are not things like paradox mods or things that we know that are coming to the game, like obviously the game coming out for console, but more things that we're not sure that are coming to the game. Like, we know that they have hinted that bikes are coming, but we don't know when. Are they going to come this year? Maybe a Park Life DLC or some different ways to texturize the maps to give them different themes. If that's something that interests you, that video will be up in the annotations or down in the description. Now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, let's dive into Thunderstore. We're going to be going over the new mods first before diving into all of the cool updates that happened to Anarchy mod, which are flippin' amazing. First up is this MassExodus mods, which does exactly what you think it does. All of your Sims just leave your city. I'm not sure why you would want this unless you want to like get a cinematic shot of everyone running away from your town, but it's there. It's very funny. CityRat also uploaded quite a few more radio stations, as well as some other ones that had been uploaded onto the workshop as well as some new maps like Roanoke, Chicago, and Riverwood. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, we are going to be doing 2 videos a week from here on out. Hopefully, I'm taking Wednesdays off my Twitch streams in order to record them, so they should be up on Thursdays or Fridays. And next week's video will be the top 5 maps that you should start your next City Skylines 2 city in, and they will all be custom maps. So if you guys are interested in some previews of that, please come over to my Twitch stream, where I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, where whenever there's a new map that's been uploaded to the workshop, we actually check it out on my Twitch stream. But I'll be giving full detailed descriptions and opinions on these maps on the video next week. So make sure you have notifications turned on to see that. Now, in all honesty, there really wasn't that many new mods that were uploaded since the last video, but that being said, there was extra landscaping tools, and this mod is so awesome. It is up there, top 5 must-have mods, in my opinion, right now for City Skylines 2. So let's dive in and check out what extra landscaping tools has to offer. Okay, so here we are in the city of Albert Booty, which is the city I'm building over on Twitch, which again, you can find a link to down in the description. But over here is a little university campus that I'm kind of making on the Mountain Village map. And so let's dive into what the extra landscaping tools has to offer. So as we go in here, you'll obviously see some other mods that I have active, like Anarchy mod, which is over here on the left. But you'll notice some other things that have begun to appear. One of the first things that you'll probably notice is the actual brush tool down here. And as you can see, as we cycle through, we can actually change the brushes. Now, these were available in dev mode, and if you guys want to take a look at the dev mode video, they might actually include some hints as to what mods we might get in the future, because a lot of these things are kind of built around what the dev tools already have, like the different brushes. And we could access these before by hitting the home key on our keyboard with dev mode active and selecting one of the landscaping tools, and they were down here at the bottom. So pretty much all of these things that we see down here As you can see, I can move the slider down here. They're connected to the actual extra landscaping tool mod, and a lot of the mods are like that. So if you guys are interested in learning more about dev mode and what they already kind of have in the background of the game that you just don't have access to, I'll leave a link to my video describing it kind of up in the annotations up above, as well as in the description down below. Something I forgot to say while recording this is that when you are actually cycling through the brushes, so when you go up, those are the dev mode brushes that are actually just available in the game. But if you go down, those are actually custom brushes, and you can actually add custom brushes to this mod. I believe the GitHub or the Thunderstore link explains how to do that. So again, please look at the Thunderstore link or the GitHub link that is linked in the Thunderstore link. I hope that makes sense, for descriptions on how to add custom brushes if you want to add them. Now, obviously, we have different selections of brushes. So if we want a rectangle brush, we could do a rectangle brush. If we want a triangle brush, we could have a triangle brush, or a mountain brush. If we want to rotate it, we can obviously rotate the brush. So if we go back to the square brush, so it makes maybe a little bit more visual sense, you can now see that the brush has been rotated. We can also change the strength just as normal. That's just a general feature in City Skylines too, obviously. But as you can see over here with our different terrain tools, we can also now paint or resources. I should turn the actual home menu off on the right hand side, but as we cycle through, we can actually see where all of the resources are. So water deposits, fertile land, ore resources, and I'm sorry, that was oil, and then this is the ore resources, and we can actually just paint them on the ground now however we want to. We can change whatever brush type we want, which is really great for those of us looking to expand our industries. So that being said, we have those extra landscaping tools available to us, but that's not all that's available to us with this mod. And one of the things that is honestly the biggest wow game changer to me with this mod is the direct access to surfaces right here. Now, again, if you guys want to learn about surfaces, you can do so in the dev mode video, but this is something that I spend quite a bit of time working with. As you can see right here, there is this manicured lawn texture. It's the same texture that you'll actually see in a lot of building assets. And as we've opened this, we can actually see all of the surfaces that are attached to buildings or ones that I've manually placed around the city. These are how buildings have custom lawns and different types of pavement that are different than what's actually on maybe the roads or the actual ground texture. Now, if you, let's say, didn't like a lot of the grass textures in the game and you actually wanted all of the grass to just look like the natural ground of City Skylines 2, you can actually delete those by right-clicking. Let's see if we can do this properly. By right-clicking the grass here, I accidentally deleted that node, and sometimes it doesn't really like it. But later, when we talk about the Anarchy mod improvements, you can actually find better ways to do that. But in the meantime, what we can do is actually just make some adjustments here. Let's see if it'll allow us to do it. There we go. And we can cover it up. Anyways, besides that, we can actually just go through here and draw some surfaces out. Now, again, this was something that's available to us in developer mode. If we hit the home key and type surfaces, we can actually go through here and say, I want the oil area surface, and we could paint it out. But now, instead, we can actually just select the surface down here and draw them out as well. So if you're looking to make maybe some sandy beach textures, you can do that with the oil surface. Or if you're looking to make some lawns or extra grass areas for parks or things like that, you can do that with the grass one. You can also adjust any of the surfaces that are connected to buildings already. So if we go back over here to the university building, you'll notice I've actually kind of already done that. I've extended out the pavement from the parking lot over here to make a walking path that connects up down to here. This is a truly fantastic mod, especially when it comes to detailing. As you can see, I have made quite a few advancements in how the area is actually detailed out. I've added quite a bit of the grass textures to a lot of the map. And even if we go back into the downtown of my city over here, you'll notice I've kind of done that pretty much everywhere. I have included a lot of this grass texture in most places because I think it looks like the actual lawn grass texture, where I feel like the normal ground texture looks a lot more like a forest floor or something patchy like a field, whereas I wanted these areas to feel more like a cut lawn, something that a lawnmower actually has to go through and trim and keep down. These lawn textures also have a little bit more of a texture to it as well. So again, these surfaces are absolutely amazing, and all of the buildings, pretty much anything that isn't just the bare ground texture is a surface in this game, or actually connected to the road, I suppose. So with this tool, we're able to fully customize this, and a little pro tip I actually have is that if you're looking to make maybe like a flower bed or like a mulchy area, the forestry tool is actually a really good tool to utilize and make some really cool flower beds. So if we make this really thin right here, you'll notice that it does kind of look like a little bit of a mulchy path, and we can put some bushes down through here, and just something that I've kind of found through playing the game and through a suggestion actually through Bad Peanut. And if you ever want to delete these surfaces, you can actually just right click on the nodes and it will get rid of them. It works exactly like the district tool and has been something that I have spent a ton of time working on in my city. So huge shout out to TritonSupreme and CityRat, who actually worked on some of the UI elements like the surface UI icons that are over here, as well as Cynical Business. Anyways, let's head back over to Thunderstore. Now, the next thing we're actually gonna have to come back over to Discord for is the Anarchy mod update. Now, I have streamer mode on, so I don't get any notifications while I'm recording this video, but this mod is made by Yenyang, which you can obviously find on Thunderstore as well. And this mod is truly a game changer. Again, it's in that top 5 of what I want for City Skylines 2, that like if I'm going to play with mods, this is one of those 5 mods that I'm going to play City Skylines 2 with, especially after this big update. Now, this is the only place that I could actually find the actual changelog of it, and we'll go through and do a good description of all of the cool updates. Sully also has a video on all of the cool updates as well, which I'll leave linked down in the description. This is more of like an official, like, these are the changes that have happened, but I think there's some things that Sully left out that I think are really important, especially when we start diving into the extra landscaping tools and the surface customization. So that being said, the actual changelog says allows you to place vegetation and props with dev UI, add object menu, overlapping or inside the boundaries of other objects and close together. So this is a lot like just the conventional Anarchy mod that already kind of exists in the game, but this also now allows you to place trees on top of buildings. So if you've ever wanted to add trees to one of the ploppable buildings, you can now do so with Anarchy mod. You can also place trees really close on top of one another or inside of one another if you really wanted to. Things like bushes at the base of buildings you can also do now as well. Icon to show and exclusively target invisible paths / markers with the bulldozer and remove invisible paths and markers. Now, we really don't have access to place these necessarily yet, but this does allow us to go into buildings and take a look at these. And we'll show that off in a minute. Icons to exclusively target surfaces with the bulldozer and remove them in one click. With Anarchy, this also can remove surfaces in buildings. So before, in order to remove the surfaces, you would have to right-click the surface in order to remove one of the nodes. Now you can just use the bulldozer tool and actually delete the surface in its entirety. And this works for some surfaces in the game before. You couldn't just right-click the end node and actually delete the surface. There was really no way to delete the surface fully, even if you wanted to mess with it. Now with this bulldozer tool, you can fully delete them. There's also now tooltips thanks to Algernon, and works with Line Tool City Skylines 2. It links to it here by Algernon, which again is in the top 5. If you guys aren't using Line Tool by Algernon, you really should. So without further ado, let's go into a more detailed description and showing off of this Anarchy mod. Okay, so here we are back in Albert Booty, and let's go over some of the new enhancements to Anarchy mod. The first thing I want to touch on is actually the bulldozer tool, because I think the bulldozer tool is one of the more unique features that Anarchy mod has really kind of expanded and grown on. A pro tip that I would actually have for many of you at home is what I would actually go into your options and go down here to Anarchy. A lot of mods will have options inside of your actual options settings in your menu. So I would definitely suggest going through some of your mods if you have them and checking out what they have to offer in here. But my suggestion would be actually make sure that you have always enable Anarchy with bulldozer tool turned off. And the reason I suggest you have that turned off is so that way, when you basically have the bulldozer tool open like this, it would just turn on Anarchy mode. And then let's say a building grew from one of your zonable areas while you had Anarchy mod on. Obviously, Anarchy mod's on. Anarchy mod is something that is constantly happening in the game in the background. So what will happen is those buildings that are growing up will have trees that that'll stay there. It won't auto hide the trees anymore due to the updates with Anarchy mod. So what'll happen is that you'll have random trees poking up through your buildings, and we don't want that. So making sure that Anarchy mod is not always on with your bulldozer tool is useful. You know, you can obviously still turn it back on when you need it, but making sure that it's not on, and you know, it just makes a nice quality of life change for it. That being said, inside the bulldozer tool, there is a lot of cool stuff. So the last one here is actually related to the surfaces. This is actually a surface deleter. So instead of right-clicking on the end nodes, you can actually just delete surfaces, and you can delete them from any asset. So as you remember, we kind of we actually deleted the grassy patch here that was connected to this building. But let's say we wanted to delete this one and we wanted it to just be the normal ground texture. What we can actually do is turn on Anarchy mode, and now we have access to the surface surfaces that are connected to this building, and we can delete that grass surface. We can also delete the pavement from this building as well if we wanted to redraw the surface. This is actually kind of the game changer if you really want to have a lot more control over how your buildings look. So for example, if you wanted to come into the university here and you were like, man, I actually really don't like this tile here. I wish it was the same as the concrete. Well, what you can actually just go through now and delete all of this tile and go back through with the surfaces here in the extra landscaping tools and actually just replace it with pavement. So we can go through here, and I'll just do a quick short section of this. And boom, now we have this as pavement instead of as tile. So again, this gives us a lot more control, and if we wanted to customize our buildings a lot more, we can do that now with deleting the surfaces. Now inside of Anarchy mod, there is 4 other options. This third one right here, so if we're working back, so from right to left here, you'll notice that as you turn it on, you'll notice a lot of trees pop up. And so what this does is it actually allows you to see all of the hidden objects in the game. So all of the trees that have been hidden on top of one another, or under roads, for example. So all of these trees have been obviously hidden under the roads. They have been resorted back to their baby form, I guess, like the smallest form of the trees, suppose. And you can see access to those. But what you can also see is some other objects that appear on certain assets. And one of them is these invisible paths. And this is one of the big things that this mod hopes to do long term, is allow you to have access to these paths. So first off, the way these work is that the blue lines, I believe, represent vehicle traffic, and the green lines represent pedestrian traffic. So one of the really cool things that you can do is you can actually take a look in game at, okay, where can pedestrians walk in my city? And so one of the things you can actually take a look at is that they can actually just walk through these building assets. These are pedestrian paths. So for all intents and purposes, if we had access to, let's say, an invisible path or the ability to stretch these, what we could do is actually make custom walking paths. So if we could extend these green lines out to the road right here, what we could do is actually make it so people walk through our campus and use it as a pedestrian path, essentially, which would be really great for making these buildings and assets come and feel more alive. Because sure, a lot of students and Sims like to hang out on the front side of the campus here, but there's like parks and other walkways that just don't get utilized because there's no invisible paths. Obviously, you can use this tool to delete them, but what I've been using it for is kind of take a look at, okay, where could I actually hook up a pedestrian path to the actual building asset? So if we actually wanted to start snaking in some actual pedestrian paths, we could hook them up to where the green spots are in the buildings and actually have people use it as a pedestrian walking path. Now, I don't know if this actually functions properly, but long term, this is a view that basically like a sneak peek. It allows us to open our eyes to how these buildings are actually created and how we can actually use them long term to create an even more vibrant and alive looking city. There's also what appears to be like spawn points or hangout points that become visible as well when you open this up. I'm really not too sure what we're looking at with a lot of these round objects. But if you go into the asset editor, which is possible, I don't have a video up on that, but maybe I will one day if you guys are interested in it. But you can actually get into the asset editor right now, which we've done over on my Twitch stream. And some of these building objects might be hangout spots or some other kind of spawner. And not just the university has access to those. So if we go over here to, let's say, the fire station, you can actually see the paths that fire trucks can actually take through the building. So they can go through all of these garage doors and they drive around the fire station. We also have all of the green pedestrian paths that, you know, they would kind of snake through. So I've already kind of figured out where that was and added our surfaces and extended them out to here. Now, obviously, they won't walk from here to here unless they like the pathfinding cost. But in theory, long term, if we are able to edit these, we could connect them up to our pedestrian paths and actually have people like walk through these building assets as just normal walkways. But anyways, this tool is designed so that way you could delete them. So if you wanted to, you could. You cannot delete them if they are connected, however, to one of the actual pre-made assets. So I think this is mostly a long-term feature because you can only really see them when they are connected to a lot of these buildings and assets. So I think long-term, we're going to probably see a lot more use out of this feature. But for the time being, we really can't utilize it. But if you do want to see some things like hidden trees or stuff like that, you can always toggle this on and get a good view. Now, this first one right here, we're going to skip this one for the time being, and we're going to go to the far left one. This far left one allows us to actually delete Sims and vehicles. So, you know, let's this person has been chosen to be our test subject here. We can actually just select this sim and they're gone. We can fully delete them. If you have a vehicle causing a traffic problem, like let's say this bike was crashed and we actually didn't want to wait for the police to kind of come through and clean up the accident, we could just delete it. And obviously this sim is floating now, and then he's moving, and then we can just get rid of him in his entirety if we wanted to, or we can get rid of this vehicle and this vehicle. We can wait for those sims to become people again and then just fully delete them. You know, this allows us a lot more freedom when it comes to actually manipulating our city and our sims that we actually had with mods in City Skylines 1. So again, we are really at the precipice of getting there with City Skylines 2 mods. There's definitely still quite a few that we need to get there in order to play the game like we did with City Skylines 1, but gosh, these 2 mods just together, once they kind of came out, really helped me understand a lot of this stuff. Now, what this last button does right here, so if we were to, let's say, destroy this parking garage, normally what we would do is we would click it. It would ask us, do you want to bulldoze this building? And then, you know, actually, I don't want to destroy it. If you don't want those pop-ups anymore, all you have to do is select this second toggle right here and then select it, and it will delete it without asking you for confirmation. So essentially this is a confirmation bypass, which is why the symbol looks like a question mark and the squiggly line going around the question mark instead of through it, because it's bypassing that confirmation. Now, the last feature, at least really cool feature I wanted to show off with the new Anarchy mod is actually how the Anarchy actually works in game, especially with trees. So let's say you wanted to do a little bit more tree detailing inside of the, let's say this is the town hall, right? Let's say we wanted to add some big oak trees in here. Now, obviously we can't do that. It's telling us there's an overlapping item, or let's say we wanted to place a bush here. Let's say we wanted to place these wildflower bushes at the base of this oak tree. Obviously, it's not going to let us do that because, as we know, when we place trees on top of one another, one auto hides from the next one. Well, with the new Anarchy mod, we actually can place them on top of one another, and it won't auto hide the subject. Obviously, I didn't place that too correctly. Let's try this again. There we go. And you can tell that these bushes are definitely on top of this tree. I'll place a whole bunch of them, and they're all on top of one another, and it's not auto hiding any of it. And so it allows us to actually place these trees in a more natural way. They're really truly on top of one another. This also works with the brush, place multiple. So if we this can get a little dangerous because you can place too many trees in your game, so just be mindful of that. But let's say we wanted to go through here and place a bunch of spruce trees, and we have it at 50%. So let's put it up to 100%. Now, it's still adding trees every once in a while, but this is about how dense that we can actually make the spruce tree forest if we want to, which is still pretty dense. But if we turn on Anarchy mod and we try to make a spruce tree forest, as you'll begin to realize, you can make it so much more dense. And you can see how many more trees are truly being placed in here. And they are really on top of one another. And I mean, it's lagging my game because and as I said before, like, you want to be really careful when you use this mod, but you can see how spaced out these trees are compared to how dense and thick these trees are as well. And just to like really hammer this home, how close you can put these trees, if we place a spruce tree here and then we just move it slightly over, you can still place the second tree and you can see both trunks. Now, if we go back over to the city hall and we wanted to place something like an oak tree over here in these little areas, we can actually do that now as well. Now, it doesn't link these oak trees to the city hall. So if we were to, in theory, delete the city hall, which I can do right now, the oak trees will stay there because it wasn't actually linked to the building itself. But we can place them on top of it, which allows us a lot more detailing opportunities. If we wanted to actually put a tree on this corner right here, we won't be restricted by, you can't do it because this corner is actually owned by the building. No, you can place an oak tree right here if you really want to. And it also allows us to do things like place trees on the sidewalks if you wanted to. Or if you go back to any section of the city here, I don't think I actually have too much median road, so let's actually upgrade this to have a median in the, well, that's actually got a tram track. Do I have a medium-sized road that doesn't have a tram track? Let me find one. Right down here over by the university. So if we upgrade this to have a median in it as well, we can actually go through here and place trees down in the center median if we wanted to. So a lot of these features, you might be like, yeah, we could do that in City Skylines 1. Yes, and now you can do them in City Skylines 2, which is really great for the quality of life of this game and the actual improvements that these features are already kind of being added without official modding support. A lot of these features and implementations were already kind of built in on the back end, and we're just kind of waiting for mods to kind of unlock them. And obviously without official modding support, it took a little longer than potentially something that PDX mods could have allowed modders to quickly access. But as I said before, we are really at the precipice and the real cusp of being able to do all the things from City Skylines 1 that we can now finally do in City Skylines 2. By the way, that feature also does not just apply to trees. You can also place objects on buildings now as well. So if we go into the object menu by pressing home, we can go through here and like type bench in if we want to. So let's actually find a nice little garden bench. Here we go. This is a cute little garden bench. We can rotate the prop, obviously. That's how the object menu works. Let's turn off Anarchy mode so you guys kind of understand what I'm talking about here. And let's go over to a building. Let's do this building, for example. There already has a picnic table right here. We wanted to put a bench back in this corner. Obviously, we can't do that. Overlapping items won't let us do that. With Anarchy mod, obviously, we can turn that off. Boom, now we have a nice little bench back here in the corner for anybody who wants to sit over here with maybe some privacy, find some little privacy corner here in the busy city. And you can toggle this Anarchy mode on or off using Control-A keybind. Now, again, I highly suggest looking at Sully's video, which is down in the description. He really shows off some of the amazing stuff that you can actually do and build now with the Anarchy tool and the props that already exist in the game, because there are already quite a few props that exist in the game that a lot of people don't really realize are there because they're baked into these building assets. But if you go into the home menu and you type in a lot of the stuff like benches, for example, there is a ton of different bench options and a ton of other different stuff in the game that you can use. Just make sure that you don't hit the X button, because if you hit the X button, you have to restart your game to open the menu. So make sure if you want to close it out, you hit the home button. Now, all of the features in Anarchy mod do work in conjunction with other mods. So for example, if we wanted to use it with line tool, as was stated in the description, if we go back over here to our nice little median road and we wanted to add a row of trees down it, just like this, we can actually do that. So let's get a little precise here, and boom, and there we go. We have it wasn't that lined up, but we can add a row of trees in the median if we wanted to, for whatever reason you wanted to. And then the original tree that we had was there, so spacing's a little weird. Let's destroy that guy. There we go. Cool, and now we have a little strip of trees in the median if that's something that you wanted. Obviously, I don't think the spruce trees were a great choice for that, but I digress. Now, I feel like there was something I'm forgetting that has kind of come out since the last video on the 27th. So if there's something that I forgot, please let me know down in the comments down below. I don't know, I have this inkling that I forgot something or some mod or some update to some mod that was also massive. So we'll cover it next week because the next word of the week is not until the 15th. So on the 14th, we will have our last mod only weekly recap, and so we will have a bunch of time to be able to go over all of that stuff in case I forgot something. That being said, I want to thank you guys for watching today. I appreciate it. We are back in a big way in 2024. We'll have 2 videos up every single week and the weekly recaps every Sunday. I also had some people in the comments wondering if I was behind some weeks because the word of the week comes out the day after usually these videos get uploaded. Now, I have a really good reason for why I do it like this. I would rather have a consistent date, that being Sunday, that I can upload these videos. I have the time on Saturdays to make them, and it does kind of really fit as like the end of the previous week, the start of the next week, what happened the previous week, so you guys can keep up to date on it. Now, you might be like, well, it's one day before new information comes out. And sure, obviously that is true. The CEO does speak out on every single Monday with the word of the week. But usually that's just information of what's to come the rest of the week. And I would hate to pick a certain day during the week, have it be uploaded on every Tuesday, and then have this video go live along with a patch. And we know patches don't come out on weekends because Colossal Order is not in the office. So that's why I have them come up on Sundays, because I know that nothing too new will come out the day I upload this video because they're not even in their offices. And I also just don't have time on Fridays to make these videos, so I make them on Saturdays and upload them on Sundays. So if you ever wondered why I upload them on Sundays, that's why I upload them on Sundays. That being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you guys are enjoying these mods. And please, if you guys want to share some of your creations, you guys can join my Discord, which is down in the descriptions down below. I'd love to see what you guys are able to make with all of these cool new mods that are coming out for City Skylines 2. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.